Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So today during our session, we are on session 3. So we are going to be talking about taking turns in conversation and incorporating these conversational turn takings into your child's routine, okay?
Okay, that sounds great.
All right. So first we're going to look at routines. So let's think about when we first started driving a car. We didn't know how to drive a car. It wasn't a routine. We had to focus on each and every step of getting in the car, buckling. Either it's a push start or turning the key. It took us a long time to get to understand all the parts of our car, how it works, and also how to safely drive on the road with other people. But as those skills developed and as we continually and repeatedly followed those steps, it became a routine for us to drive. But think if you got in your car each time and all of our gears and shifts were moved around, then it wouldn't become a routine because we'd have to continually learn how to redrive our car, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's how it is with our kiddos. So we want to teach them these routines. So when a child first has a routine, they don't know what's going on. They don't know how to anticipate what's going to happen next. But if we have specific places and pauses and cues for our kids, or giving them a directive of what to do, then we can create those routines and the child learns how to take those turns in those conversations. Okay? All right. So there are a few different, rules for routines. So we know that routines have specific steps. When I brush my teeth, I don't stick the toothbrush in my mouth before I put the toothpaste on it. I put the toothpaste on my toothbrush and then I brush my teeth. So that's a specific step that we do each and every time. It has to be in the same order. One day I can't put my toothpaste on and start brushing my teeth, and then the next day brush my teeth with no toothpaste. It has to go in the same order every time. So steps have to be repeated many times. If you remember back to when you were a child, we didn't know how to brush our teeth, and so our parents had to continually show us each specific and same order step to learn how to brush our teeth. And there are specific roles. When we were younger, our parents put the toothpaste on our toothbrush, and then we could brush our teeth. But now that we're older, we put our own toothpaste on our toothbrush. So what is a routine or daily activity that you do with your child?
I would say taking baths in the evenings is one that would be out every day.
Yeah, baths are really good. So tell me a little bit about the steps that you do when your child is taking a bath.
So usually we start after supper because I've got a couple kids, so getting them all through. And so we'll go back. I'll turn the water on and let it start warming up a little bit. Add a little soap for some bubbles, and then undress the child and stick them in the tub. And then typically we start with washing their hair. So I'll take a cup and pour a little bit of water over their head just to get it wet, and then shampoo, rinsing that all out, and then typically I'll wash their body next, rinse them off, get them out, wrap them in a towel, put their pajamas.
Right, so there are so many steps to bath time, getting all of us kids to wrangle together. But there are specific steps that I'm sure some of your older children have learned over time. Okay, mom's gonna turn on the water, we're gonna get undressed, she's gonna put me in. You know, there are specific steps to go with that. So, as we talk about routines today, I kind of want to just go over the 3 kinds of routines. So we've talked a little bit about those daily routines, the bath time, playtime, meal time, times that are normally during a specific time of the day that have specific things that go with it. We also have a routine called people games. And I find people games to be really interesting because they're games that we play with our children, typically one-on-one, but there are no toys, such as tickling, peekaboo, hide and seek. So they know during hide and seek that when you get to 10, hopefully they're hidden behind the couch or wherever they decide, and then you go and find them and you say, oh, I found you, and then they want to play it again. And then we have your own special routine. So sometimes in families, they have a special time of just reading a book or playing with a certain toy like electronics for some of your older kids. So that's something that you do special with them that isn't really inside your daily routine or these people games. So now we're going to look at some examples of how parents either incorporate or don't incorporate these cues and prompts for the kids to take turns while playing some of these games, okay?
Okay.
Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Hush, hush, we all fall down. Picking up the daisies, picking up the daisies. Hush, hush, we all stand up. Again, ring around the rosy, a pocket.
Okay, so in this, we see that the kid is having a really fun time. He's laughing, he's getting up, he's playing with the parent. But as we've talked about, there's no conversational turn taking. The mom has taken all of this time, but has never given the child an opportunity to interact with the ring around the rosy or to say that he wants to do it again. So in this, what do you think the child could say during this to tell the parent that he wants to do it again?
I guess if there's a specific name that they would call that game, after they end one round of it, he could, if she gives him a pause, he could ask however they call the game to be played again.
Yeah, of course. So if they have a name for Ring Around the Rosie, saying Rosie. Like after they've fallen down, the child could say Rosie, Rosie, and they could do it again. So as we see, the mom gives the child no cues. Even though he's having a really fun time, there's not any opportunity for the child to have a conversation with the parent. So what do you think the mom could do in this situation to give an opportunity for her child to speak?
Definitely a pause after the end of a round. That would be a pretty obvious one. Maybe also just in the words that go along with the game, she could pause and let the child fill in the word occasionally. I guess as long as it is repeated, like you were saying.
Yeah.
The same word every time.
Yeah, that's really good. So now we're going to look at the mom doing it again. And hopefully in this video you're going to see that the mom adds some of those cues in to repeat the routine.
Ring around the rosy. Ring around the rosy. A pocket full of posies. Hush, hush, we all fall down. Picking up the daisies, picking up the daisies. Hush, hush, we all stand up. Yay! Again, round. Hold hand. Other hand. Go. Ring around the rosy. A pocket full of posies. Hush, hush. We all fall down.
Okay, so in this video we can definitely see that the mom is doing some added things that initiate or hopefully initiate the child into a gesture or conversation. So what did you notice that the mom did differently compared to the last video?
I would say she went a lot slower in this one, even just in like the physical motion. Like the other one, they were spinning around a whole lot faster. So this time she went a lot slower, and she did, even if he didn't respond, she was patient and waited and gave some silence so that he could either physically act or make a gesture or a noise.
Yes. Yes, of course. The mom definitely did give more added time. And so we see that once the mom gave added time, sometimes the child didn't respond, but other times he would fall down, or he would lay down, or he would act like he was picking the daisies after the mom gave the small pick daisy cue. So we see that the mom is a lot more interactive in giving the child opportunities. Through the interactions and opportunities from the mom, how did that impact the child?
I feel like he was definitely engaging more. The other one, it was just the mom was kind of spinning around, and I think he was having a good time, but this time it was more, even if she initiated it, he was also going along with her in the mimicking her physical movements.
Yes. Yes, so the child was a lot more interactive. He probably had a lot more fun during this because he was more engaged with the activity. And as we can tell, she started it the same. Ring around the rosy, pocket full of posy. And then we're assuming that she had planned those pauses. Okay, I'm going to pause after the word fall to see if the kid goes down. And we continually repeat those. And she also kept the ending the same. As we fall down and they picked the daisies, then she would wait to see if the child got back up so they could do the cycle again.
Ring around the rosy.
All right. So we looked at all of these aspects of the last video, and we can see the aspects of spark. So we're going to watch this video, and it's going to kind of explain the acronym of SPARK and how the mom included it with her child.
First, Mom remembers to start the routine the same way each time. She says the same words and uses a gesture to let Sean know what game they're going to play.
Ring around the rosy.
Mom had to plan what Sean's turn would be. At the beginning of the routine, Sean would use the round gesture. In the middle of the game, she planned that he would fall down and make a sound for down.
We all fall down.
At the end, she planned that he would stand up and raise his hands. And then he would ask for the game to start again all by himself.
Again, round.
To help Sean know when to take a turn and what kind of turn to take, Mom adjusts the routine. She cues Sean by pausing the game and waiting expectantly, and then Sean takes his turn.
Hush. We all fall down.
When Sean doesn't take his turn, she uses a more obvious cue. She waits even longer, and then she shows him what to do.
We all stand. Up. Yay!
Sean and his mom repeat the routine many times so he gets to have fun at the same time as he's getting better and better at taking turns. By keeping the end of the routine the same, Mom gives Sean an opportunity to start the routine all over again.
Up. Yay! Again, round. Hold in.
When Mom uses a routine to spark an interaction, she helps Sean take better turns in the routine, and he learns to start the game again.
Okay, So they did a phenomenal job of explaining what spark is, but we're going to go over it just again to make sure we have it all nice in our brain. And then we'll move on to looking at another video, and then you'll get with your other parent groups and we'll practice a spark interaction. Okay, so when we're doing these routines with our child, we can go back to bath time. We want to start bath time the same way. We want to give the routine a simple name, so bath time, and we may want to add a visual helper. So for bath time, you could do you want to do bath time? Like you said, that you pour the water over the kid's head. So like a cup, maybe that's how they would associate it. But we want to start the routine the same way each time, so the child has an understanding of this is the start of our routine. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just click through these and do all of them. All right, so we want to plan the child's turn. So first we want to plan when. So when we're in bath time, say they're playing with bath toys. I'm sure all of our kids love those little windy toys that through the water, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to plan that. So are we gonna play with these toys at the end of bath time? Or are we gonna play them at the beginning? When are we gonna do that? And we also want to plan when we're gonna ask the child or give the child that cue. So it could be we do it one time for them, and then the wind-up toy stops, and we wait, and we pause, and we see if the child does it. Or we just leave, maybe for our older kids, we leave the toy in the bathtub, and they have to hand it to us to start that process over again. And then we want to do how our child is going to communicate to us. So, as you said, you have a few kids, and so I'm sure they're ranging in all different ages. So first we have the discoverer. And so those are our little kids that don't really have any first words yet. They may not have gestures. So we may have to watch for like when they get really excited, our breath, we breathe more fast, and maybe they're kicking their feet in the bath water. And then we have like our first word kiddos, so they know how to say like that one word like mom, dad, baba. They use a lot of gestures, so we may want to look for them being like how the lady did this, like maybe that's how they want the wind-up toy. And then we have our 2 or more word combiners, and so they're able to tell us again or wind it up, please. And so that's kind of how we're going to plan when our child takes our turns. All right. So the A in Spark is adjusting the routine to give our child a chance to take those turns. So as we were talking about the wind-up toy, we kind of already talked about this in our last one. But just, are we going to pause? Is the bath toy going to go around and it stops? Are we just going to pause and wait for them to hand it to us? Or give a gesture, or say again, or wind? Or are we going to have a gesture? Are we going to kind of raise our hands or put our hands out and hope that they put the hand or the toy in our hand, right? Mm-hmm. So we just have to decide what cue or how we're going to prompt them, so hopefully that they'll give us something, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so we also want to repeat the same actions. We want to do the steps in the same order. When you put the kid in the bath, we don't put him in the bath with his clothes on, or then they're soaking wet. We take their clothes off and then we put them in the bath. So we want to have those constant repeated routines, but we also want to make sure that they're in the same order. Not only for the kid, but when we give our cues or our gestures when they want the toy to go again in the bath. We don't want to shrug our shoulders one time or say, what do you want another time? We want to make sure it's consistent so that the child can create those repeated routines and understand the steps of that routine. And then finally, we want to keep the end the same. So after that bath toy is done winding up, we either want to say, all done, or it stopped. we want to make sure that the child knows that that bath toy or the routine has stopped so that they can either decide if they want the toy to be wound up again or if they want to move on to something else in the routine. Alright, so we're going to watch this video, and I just want you to pay attention to the mom. I want you to pay attention to see if she's taking any turns, what cues she might be giving the child, and how the child may be responding to what he wants.
Whee! Do you want more? Take it. Okay, ready? Whee! Whee! Let's do it again. Whee! Oh. Whee!
Okay, so from this video, what are you noticing?
Sometimes she would give a pause and sometimes she wouldn't. So sometimes she would let the swing go multiple turns before she held it and asked. And her wording was pretty consistent, but not always. And so she wasn't saying the same thing every time.
Yeah. So, yes, we definitely notice that the mom she's really inconsistent when that swing is going. She may let him go a few times, she may let him go one time. We also notice that this child is pretty young. So we know that it's not realistic for this child to verbally say more or swing because that's just not where his language is at right now. So the mom also isn't giving him a whole lot of time to give those gestures. I don't know if you noticed, but when she would stop him, sometimes he would kick his feet and sometimes he would almost like grip the bar that was holding him in. So that may have been the child's way of saying, okay, like let's go again. But we see that the mom didn't really give him an opportunity to answer, and she didn't give herself something to answer with. She didn't say, all done, do you want it again? So how could the mom use that spark to spark an interaction?
I would say like letting the swing go like a certain amount of times. If it was like 3, like back and forths, or even like giving him a push and then waiting for the swing to like naturally stop, as well as just using consistent wording with him.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, we definitely want to make sure that she's starting it the same, that she's ending it the same. We want to make sure that she gives the child an opportunity and how that child's going to respond and when she's going to stop the swing. And we want to make sure that she's consistent and repeating the steps in the same order.
Whee!
All right, so this slide is just kind of giving us just a recap of everything. So S is starting the same way each time. We know P is planning the child's turn, so when and how they're going to communicate or respond. Adjusting is adjusting the routines, so just giving that child a cue on when it's their time to talk or to take their turn. R, of course, is repeating. We want to make sure that we are repeating the steps in the same order. And then K is just keeping the end the same. So you all are going to get in your groups, and I just want you to talk about a routine that you do with your child. You can use your bath time routine or doing mealtime, playtime, playing hide and seek, and go over that spark interaction. And then if we have time, we'll discuss it as a group.